technical glitch. Oh, there we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. Lot of big news, a lot of hints tonight, a lot of cuts in the NFL. And by the way, I still don't believe that the Saints are under the salary cap. By the way, they keep cutting guys and restructuring contracts and everything. Got a tournament going on and all that good stuff. We'll get into that. Those David Culley comments seem legit. That wasn't just a podcast tease, in my opinion. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson possibly going to work out something with the CFL and the XFL. We'll get to that. Greg Popovich kind of wearing thin on everybody. I can start to see the fire sale there in San Antonio. But first, let me tell you about Alternite. Alternite's a nonprofit, 100% funded by Tolic Boards out of Brooklyn, New York area. Received support or partnered with New York Ranger hockey team, former New York legends Mark Messier, Adam Graves, Ron Duguay, WFAN's Boomer Esiason, and most legendary local sports talk station in the country. These guys provide humanitarian educational services to underserved communities. For example, pay for fees for youth to play sports, also provide equipment, also help out with the music and arts field. For more information on how to donate or request for donation, contact them at www.alternite.com. That is ALTRUNITE.com, or visit their Facebook page. Or you can call 917-775-4005. That's what I prefer you to do. Tell them Robert from Sports Scope sent you. Alternite, good people doing a good thing. Okay, let me make sure and credit Jim Trotter's Huddle and Flow. There was a movie called Hustle and Flow come out some years ago. Won some Academy Awards, really good. I thought it was good. The Jim Trotter, this guy's a NFL reporter. I want to say he's got a podcast called Huddle and Flow, and he said David Culley. Let me make sure and get this right. Culley is the new head coach of the Houston Texans. Everybody, and basically, what he said was quarterback on team for now. This sounds a lot like the Rams situation, right? Quarterback on the team for now. And I want to make sure and get this correct because I do not want to mislead anybody with what they were talking about. And, of course, I can't even find the note here. Okay, here we go. Coach David Culley, based on a conversation, I firmly believe Watson will be traded. Culley didn't explicitly say that, but using terms like on the roster now, right now, and we want guys who are, air quote, all in. He said, Culley, when asked if Watson will be there in 2021 starting quarterback, he is our quarterback right now. He is our starting quarterback. Things happen between now and then. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I went back and listened to the podcast all the way through. Really good podcast there, the Huddle and Flow with David Culley. I like how he explained how he got this job and everything. Talked about, had a meeting with his 94-year-old dad before he took the job. It was really a heartwarming type of podcast. But, I look at this and I think to myself, first of all, this team, Houston, has done a number since the last time that we really looked at their financial situation. They cut guys like J.J. Watt, Duke Johnson. Now, they did re-sign Mark Ingram, he did play under Culley at Baltimore. And so I wasn't too in love with that. Probably one of those leadership type of situations. But they're $30 million under the cap. And that's a good thing because the cap is way down. They did a good job with that. And, I'm thinking to myself, this is a tremendous opportunity for the Dolphins. Chris Grier is their general manager. This guy's done a really good job. He's only been with the Dolphins since 2016. He brought in Brian Flores, but he also made some really good draft picks, good corner there, Xavier Howard, etc. And, there's a tremendous opportunity for him to get with Miami, and this all ties together. Just pay attention to him and Flores to get contract extensions. How do you do that? I mean, you got everything you need right there. You've got a quarterback that you can sell to Houston, a guy in Tua who has played 1 year. He's still got 3 years left on a rookie pay where they do not have to pick up that fifth-year option. Tua does. Remember, Tua's coming off of a hip surgery. Some say he shouldn't have even been playing when he was, but apparently he was killing it in practice. And you've got the 3 pick, which is the former Houston Texans pick. Like I said, by the way, 3,500 views on Monday's show. Thank you. The even idea of Russell Wilson going to Seattle has really, or from Seattle to Chicago, has really got a lot of your attention with my take on that. I'm still with that. Everything's about Miami. All eyes on Miami right now. Now, going back to Chris Grier, the general manager for the Dolphins and the head coach of Brian Flores of the Dolphins, and those comments made by David Culley today. This is not me recycling old information on this Jim Trotter podcast here, was saying that window's open. That window's open. In Miami, you're sitting there with $33 million in cap room. You've got Tua there. You've got the 3 pick. You have your pick, which is what, 18? 18. And you have an opportunity. You could swallow that Dolphin. $15 million cap hit, which is so cheap for a guy of Deshaun Watson status. Now the cap is supposed to bust wide open next year. It goes up to 40. Watson goes up to 40, and the cap is supposed to, skyrocket next year compared to this year. It'll probably go about 215, 220. It normally goes up about 10 million, but I'm gonna estimate way over that because of the TV deal. So you look at all this stuff sitting right here in front of you in Miami, and why take it on a maybe guy? What when you've worked hard, but now you say hard you work, lucky you get. This is a lucky break for you Miami Dolphin fans. For you, Brian Flores, Chris Grier, general manager. I mean, you roll this over there, give them a first round next year. You still have that late first round pick. You still have your second, your third. You still have a lot to build on from this draft, everybody. And here's the thing. 17, 18, I was looking at, what is his name? Travis Etienne. I know his last name's Etienne. Yeah, Travis Etienne, running back from Clemson, ran a 4.45. Played in national championship or in college football playoff games. Be great for your team. He's right. He would be definitely there between 18 and 30, easy. May go into the second round. That's the running back you need right there. You get Deshaun Watson, Devontae Parker with that tight end they've got, the beer guy, Pickles, and you are cooking with gas. You are battling it out with Josh Allen and Buffalo for the AFC East. right off the bat, year one. And here's how big that would be. Giskeski, thank you, Pickles. Here's how big that would be. That would be the networks would prime time these games between Buffalo and Miami. That would be like Jim Kelly versus Dan Marino if you pull this off. The owner would love that. The ownership. Miami's been kind of a sleeping giant for years since Marino left, really, And you get a star power of a player like Deshaun Watson with that defense. It's intact. The great corners there they've got. Pretty fair offensive line. If Ryan Fitzpatrick can throw in Miami, Deshaun Watson can throw in Miami. Okay? Get that Travis Etienne, you got Watson. The flip side, if you're David Culley and their new general manager, their actual general manager, Easterby or whatever the heck his name is, you get a guy at 3. Say, for instance, Justin Fields falls. Because everybody thinks that Wilson is going to go to Zach Wilson, the guy from BYU. Everybody thinks he's going to go to Jets, and I believe that. So when you've got Trevor Lawrence, Wilson, and say you got a guy like a Justin Fields, go out and get a Ryan Fitzpatrick, Mr. Journeyman quarterback. Do what Miami did last year. There's no expectations for this Houston team next year. It's a get out of jail free card. The football fan base, the world knows that the team was a mess. They know prior to this season that Culley inherited a mess, and off of what Bill O'Brien did, which I predicted would do, as soon as they made him general manager and coach, I said that's going to happen. So there's no pressure to win this year. So whatever you do at quarterback, even if you're Houston, even if you get the number 1 pick again next year, and Justin Fields looks terrible, there's no pressure. You're not going to get fired, And plus, he has officially brought in Culley, Lovie Smith from Chicago. The former Chicago head coach. So you got a pretty competent defensive coordinator there, and that was a big problem for them last year was defense. You could do a quick rebuild. Yeah, he should be fireproof for 2 to 3 years. There's no pressure. All the fan base knows how good that Lawrence is going to be. They know what the Colts have done. Tennessee almost got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They won the conference. So there's no pressure or nothing on you whatsoever. So why not make the play for the cheaper quarterback? And like I said, even if you don't take Tua, you flip Tua to somebody else for a second or third round pick. You just have them basically give that in for a consolation prize, Pickles. And what I mean by that is Tua is a consolation. Whether you take Tua or not, you could still flip Tua and get a late second round pick. So you got another pick there. You see what I'm saying? And if I'm Miami, like I said, it just you are in the playoff hunt next year. You are competing with Buffalo, and of course, New England will be better. New England's got a lot of money. They've already got a good deal with the Trent Brown trade. They're going to need a quarterback, but they got a lot of players coming back with the cap the way it is. Jarvis Jenkins was cut today from the Saints. The Saints are letting great players go left and right because they couldn't afford them. You see what I'm getting at? And a team like New England will be competitive as well. But Houston, it just seems like a good situation for them right now if they pull the trigger on this thing. Now, Culley said something like, well, we'd like to have him here. I'll talk to him, talk about Deshaun Watson. the basic yada, yada, yada. But he also said we do want players who want to be here, and there were air quote all in, going back to that situation. But, we're going back to teams like the Saints, there's going to be good players out there. There's going to be excellent players out there for a bargain price because the cap is actually lower than predicted. It was 185, now it's like 181. And it's down 9% from last year due to COVID, right? And it's supposed to go pretty far up next year. Emmanuel Sanders so you look at all these scenarios. It's guys. We this is another thought that I had. Rich Eisen's show made a good point. He went over like percentage of salary cap that the quarterback takes up. And he started doing numbers like guys like Russell Wilson. His contract's bad for numbers. Matt Ryan, his contract's it's like over 17%. When you start getting at that level, teams just don't win. That you can't pay people. The math don't add up to field a 53-man roster. My thing is, with all this fear and the Dak Prescott, I still don't take back anything I said Monday night about Dak Prescott. But I will say this. Teams, there needs to be an owner, a general manager, and a head coach to all be on the same page and be trailblazers, guys. Thank you, Brian. And they need to simply let these guys walk and say, we're going to get another quarterback. The hit rate, look at this, guys. Think about this. 2018, Lamar Jackson made his team a playoff contender. This is the same draft. Josh Allen was playing at an MVP level last year. Baker Mayfield got to the playoffs last year. And who am I missing? Sam Darnold, teams are still thinking he could still make it. All those guys were in the same draft. Look at last year. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. So my thing is the bust rate is way down. Owner, general manager, head coach. There needs to be a trailblazer out there to saying, we'll give you another a Kirk Cousins, for instance. We'll give you another contract, but we want you to sign at X amount. We know the market says it's $41 million. We're going to give you our numbers and percentages says we're going to give you $22.5 million. And what we'll give you is a great team that we've got to the playoffs with. And we're going to be an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. The agent says, are you kidding me? Okay, yeah. No, I'm not kidding. We're not going to give you a franchise tag and pay you a top 5 money for a quarterback that we know that you're not worth it, Kirk Cousins. I'm killing Kirk Cousins here, but he's just one of the main guys. Okay? But look how bad. Now, it looks like the coach is going to be on the hot seat. He's going to be in the hot seat, and he's a good coach, the guy from Minnesota, right? So we're going to give you this. And as a general manager and a staff, you got to have this plan ahead of time. And you're Mike Zimmer, yeah. And year 3, you've already got to have draft picks, other players that you don't want to re-sign that are going to be hot in the market. When you trade those guys second, third round picks, right? And then you load those picks up. This is where your scouts. This is where I pay my scouts. You load those picks up and say, we're going to go after a quarterback. We're going to go after a quarterback. We already know that player X, we're not going to re-sign him. That's why Eric DaCosta was very careful in his verbiage of Lamar Jackson. You start paying Lamar Jackson $40 million. Yeah, they don't even have another guy. I listened to that. I was talking about that, Brian, earlier, where Coley said they don't even have another guy on the roster. I'd say go after Fitzpatrick and make that trade. Either roll with Tua or get Fields. You can get somebody at 3. But my thing is, there needs to be a trailblazer saying, we're not going to pay you that kind of money, because the percentages say you're not going to win a Super Bowl when you pay these quarterbacks all this money. You have to have a star quarterback who's going to take less money and help us build this team. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but I have to reiterate that Tom Brady had made less money from 2009 to 2019 than Matt Stafford. He made less money than Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford was miserable for those 10 years. And Tom Brady, during those 10 years, been to, I can't even keep up. What was it, 14? 3 Super Bowls? Or was it 4 and won 3? I want to say 2014, they lost in 17. Yeah, it's like 4 and 3. You know, I say, well, that's just an outlier. No, is it really? Is it? I don't know. Should I remind you about Patrick Mahomes? Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl, rookie contract. Patrick Mahomes, rookie contract. Nick Foles was a backup. Carson Wentz was on his rookie contract. He won 14. He started 14 out of 16 games that year, guys. So that's the formula. Rookie contract quarterback, build up around him. Instead of just paying that rookie quarterback, holding your breath, instead of doing that, just go out and draft another one. We'll say you're right. And like I said, you save up your picks. You already know you're going to do this. This is called playing the long game. You tell your general manager or your owner, and there's a mutual, respect there. Somebody like Baltimore can pull this off because their owner is really smart and patient. And if it was me, I would let Lamar Jackson go just like that. Defense. Yeah, you build your defense up. You run the rock, and you just go out and get another quarterback. You'll always be. You may miss. What do? You just go out and draft another one, or you pick up one off free agency. You can trade for one. My point is the league is college sport. There's more college coaches now than ever in the NFL. Those more college concepts. Whoever thought Kyler Murray would work? I saw Doug Flutie, but they didn't want to play him. If Doug Flutie, Brian, if Doug Flutie plays that game against Tennessee in 99 in the Music City Miracle game, Tennessee probably loses that game. 5'9" Doug Flutie. Because people were the coaching staff was so caught up in the height and all that. Remember, Flutie was playing better than Johnson. I think his name was I forgot the guy, Rob Johnson or whatever. He was playing better leading up to that game. And they just didn't want to use Flutie for whatever reason. And I was watching some Doug Flutie highlights the other day to make me think about it. Because Kyler Murray's like 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". Brad, yeah. Yeah, and think about the other Brad Johnson that won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Just let these guys walk. Don't be hamstrung. Only reason people's done it only reason nobody's tried it because everybody's worried about their job and public pressure. But somebody like Baltimore, I would let Lamar walk. Let him walk. Go out and get another quarterback with a similar skill set. People are talking about the quarterback from Texas A&M may be a play. His last name is Bond. Cal Trash had a bad stretch down the stretch, and now he's down in the second round, third round. They found Dak in the fourth round, Cowboys did. Romo wasn't even drafted. Tony Romo wasn't even drafted. Yeah. Lamar Jackson is one bad play from everything going to Hades in a handbasket. He's a nice guy. He works his butt off. He's a fantastic athlete. He would in my NFL, he would always have a job because he is so athletic. And I think that will last. I don't think it'll complete. He'll lose a little bit. Him losing a little bit of a step is like somebody else losing. It's still like somebody else being in their prime, you know. But you could bring him in for different. Use him like he's a rich man's Taysom Hill. But that's my thing, man. And I just think that teams, somebody somewhere will try this. This formula is becoming it's becoming too easy to ignore. It's becoming too tempting to sit there and not try it. I think somebody will try it. You know, speaking of quarterbacks and stuff, I don't know if you guys been not living on the Rocky football fans. Kansas City, they just cut Eric Fisher today, former number 1 overall pick. Now the left tackle there tore his Achilles. And then Mitchell Schwartz was hurt too. That's the right tackle. So both of the Chiefs tackles are out. Now you're still in that window. Okay, Mitchell Schwartz, yeah, the right tackle. They've done away with him now. I thought you couldn't cut a player who was injured. I don't know how they figured that out. I don't know how the bylaws are for that for Kansas City. But Kansas City, and I've said this, and this is another dead horse. You saw what happens when you don't have any blocking. It was so bad in the Super Bowl at one point they couldn't even the wide receivers couldn't even run their routes. Now, they will get the guard back, Pickles. They had a guard prior to the season last year. He opted out and did some some medical volunteer stuff in Canada or something. Well, he's going to be back. They'll need him bad. And Orlando Brown, going back to Baltimore, the team that just very, very rarely misses on draft picks. He is on the stomping block. Yeah. So you've got Orlando Brown, who really did well at left tackle fill in, and Ravens already told him, yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead and seek out a trade. Go ahead and seek out. Well, Kansas City, make that call, baby. 31st pick, boom, we'll take it. And once you get that done, there was a note that I had on this. What's this guy's name? ESPN's scout draft analyst Mike Miller says he has 7 true tackles, offensive tackles. Hold on, everybody. Let me switch this thing out real quick. Stop recording there. Okay, now I'm back. So ESPN's here we go. Sorry about that. Mike Miller said he has 7 true tackles, offensive tackles in the top 50. Okay, so your window's now with Kansas City. A lot of that contract Mahomes has got is very back-end heavy, all right? So make that play today for Orlando Brown from Baltimore if you can. Give up that first-round pick. You still got your second-round pick, okay? You trade up. You trade up and get one of those 7 tackles. And maybe, now if one of those Tennessee Titan UT guys is available, but that's what you do for your Kansas City. You got to really, really, really pay attention here. This is you don't want to get Mahomes blindsided. I don't care how athletic he is. This is one of those issues. If you're Andy Reid, you've got running back depth there. You got another running back coming back. I think Damian Williams will be back next year. I think he's still there. And you go out. I don't care who it is, but if this guy's true, and what I've been reading, that's about right. I know Slater from Northwestern's a good one. He's probably going to be gone. These are out of the draft. and Sewell, I guess that's his name, from Oregon. Those two guys, you're not going to get them. But that's 5 more. That's 5 more players that you can get. And you got to be aggressive and use your resources. Bill Poland was on the Doug Gottlieb show, and he says I'd get 4 and try to develop 2 of the 4 for Kansas City. I would be that aggressive towards this because you got everything else hemmed up. Probably have to dump a guy like Sammy Watkins and work out a trade. You've got some players there. You got some things. I tell you what, guys, I'd go this far. I would trade Tyreek Hill for if somebody had a good tackle for, I would, the center from Alabama. There's the center from Green Bay is a free agent. So there's a way to do it. And I would, like I said, I would trade a Tyreek Hill yesterday if I had to. You say, what about Mecole Hardman? Mecole Hardman just ain't quite had the work. He ain't had the work with Mahomes. But I think if push come to shove, I think that Hartman can get close enough to Hill with the Andy Reid schemes, with the talent of a Patrick Mahomes. I would take this very serious if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs. So that was a big story today. Let's see. What else is going on here? I'll tell you guys, it's the most cuts I've seen in a short period of time. I know this happens every year, but with that cap going down like that, man, especially New Orleans, they're still not done yet. I'm curious to how all this is going to turn out. I'm trying to debate which next story to talk about. Okay, switching gears real quick. I've always said that another football league. Yeah, the Saints have cut Janoris Jenkins. They've cut they cut Cook last week. They've cut a lot of players. They even cut their punter. I mean, they're letting guys go left and right. And if it was up to me, I'd have that sit down with Drew Brees, and I'd say, hey, look, man, we're going to have to cut you. But the CFL, this was on, I read this the other day. So the CFL and the XFL, remember the CFL got canceled because of COVID. The XFL was completely shut down. I mean, they just couldn't afford it. And so Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson purchased the remaining assets of the XFL and wanted to merge. Talks are being about merging the XFL and the CFL with the Canadian Football League. And the preseason starts in May. Now, I'll tell you this. I still stand by what I said before the AAF and before this XFL Part 2 came out, that there is a market for this. And I like the time. I like the start of the CFL with the May start versus February. I would tolerate February, but I'd like a break from football for a little while. I would like a break from the game, even though I love it. But I'll tell you this. Starting in May, and you converge these two leagues together, you can this is what I know has been talked about, is going after players that are still early college players, whether you're a freshman or sophomore in college, going after that. And I think that would work. I think there's a market for it. I would watch it. Now, the CFL, I don't like those wide hash marks. Have regular NFL-like hash marks, okay? You have the regular hash marks. You go after players out of high school or sophomores, freshmen in college, and you sign them to $100,000 plus contracts or If a guy, they could get the same kind of insurance, I'm sure. NFL insurance, and if they anybody insure you for anything, you can get the insurance if you get hurt. If you're an NFL guy, and I think from May to whenever it is, August, however the heck long it is, the CFL and the XFL would definitely work. You just need the money. That's a big thing. And you need the patience. And I think if with the right networks have already shown that they will take a gamble. They will take a gamble on new startups. They took a gamble on the AAF. And now NFL don't copyright anything. You know, back in 1983, the USFL, the former president, Donald Trump, started the league. He beat the NFL in court, but he could not compete directly. Remember, he had Herschel Walker. I think Steve Young played for that. He beat the NFL, but he couldn't beat the NFL in ratings, but he beat them in court, and they had head-to-head. But what he should have done back in 83, Pickles, was, and somebody needs to use it, just do it in the summer. Just do it in the summertime, just like the CFL. I would, and this is what I'm getting at. You know what, guys, this could lead to? This could lead to 2 teams being in Canada, NFL teams. Toronto's been needing a team for a while. You could put a team. Yeah, Doug Flutie, thank you. I forgot about Flutie. I was just talking to how ironic, right? So this could lead to, this is going to be a big thing. You could put an NFL team in Toronto, and you could put one in Western Canada. Maybe Vancouver. I know the travel and all that. That's what they make airplanes for, guys. You know, baseball can do it. Basketball can do it. Or maybe you just use Toronto and Montreal. If Montreal don't like football, maybe you do the one London team. That would be hard. But the NFL is a think big league that is not afraid to try things. If the CFL and the XFL merge successfully, Roger Goodell and those owners who constantly want more money would say, why don't we just put a team in Canada, you know? Let's just go to 34 teams. Let's put one in Toronto, and we'll find somewhere else to put another one, you know? Maybe Mexico City, right? Maybe, you know, if Mexico City, you could get 34, trust me. Do another team in the States. Do one in Birmingham. Oklahoma City. Oklahoma needs it. Oklahoma City could probably use it. They love football in Oklahoma. But you would have to have that other team to even it out. I get it. But I really hope that this plays out. Nobody's really talking about it. It was just a blurb. You know, OKC, they love sports in OKC. They love, man. Boy, I love their basketball team. I really like their the Thunder. I love their GM. This guy gets in and out of big deals like there is no tomorrow. Okay, Greg Popovich. He already let it know, switching gears here, that LaMarcus Aldridge will no longer be on the Spurs. It's like they're saying they're going to trade him, but they're guarantee you Aldridge is not coming back. LaMarcus Aldridge is not coming back. And since Tim Duncan left, now they're a 5 seed. Aldridge would be a good fit in Golden State. He would be a good fit in Boston. By the way, I like the what's the guy's name that came over from Detroit? I thought he was a good fit with the Nets. Whatchamacallit there. But either way, and then I told you guys earlier that DeMar DeRozan was on the trading block. Aldridge said, they finally just said, we can't work with you. And here's the thing. Yeah, Blake. Yeah, Griffin. I think Griffin will be a pretty good. I think Griffin will be a good good fit there. I think he'll get out of his basketball blues. You get football blues, you get basketball blues, right? But my thing is, Greg Popovich is that one superstar that after he stops being a superstar, like a player like a Barry Bonds, you just won't want to be around him, you know? Hadn't you guys noticed that? The stuff with Kawhi Leonard, the way it went down with Kawhi Leonard and now Aldridge. Now, Aldridge hasn't said this, but I'm going to say it for him. Judge, it's not just the way he treats the ESPN reporters and stuff. I remember Robert Ory about Greg Popovich one time said, man, I don't see how, what did he say? He said, I don't see how these guys listen to him holler at them like that. And Ory played with the Spurs for a while, won a ring with the Spurs. And he was talking about the way he was hollering at Tony Parker in his face. Very disrespectful. And my dad used to say this a lot. A little bit of so-and-so go a long way. In other words, you're going to really get burned out on this guy real quick. And his lack of respect, his style of coaching, if you don't have a big star putting up with that, a personality like a Tim Duncan, that falls on deaf ears. And quite frankly, you get tired of hearing that. And I admire everything he does as far as winning. You know, I admired, what's the guy's name? Bob Knight. What is it like? One of the only few teams in '87 to win a national championship, go undefeated, I think, with the Indiana. And Isaiah Thomas 1 year, and he's like, I'm done. You know, he's like Bonds. In a sense, he's kind of like Nick Saban. I think that's why Nick Saban works in college, because you leave after 4 years. But he's one of those guys that me personally, Pickles, I couldn't be in the same room with him, because when he said something, I'm going to say something back, and I'm not going to let that. I'll say, sir, I'll break my back for you. But if you embarrass me and you holler at me like that, we're going to have a problem. I used to have a professor like that. This guy taught media law in Austin Peay. I went to Austin Peay, and he was a really good teacher, professor, really good. But this guy had every other comment was sarcasm. Every question was a bad question, just like Greg Popovich. And I remember I made like a D in that class, very hard class. And he says, you know, you really should take the class over. I said, well, sir, can I move on with this D? He said, yeah, you have a lower GPA. I said, no, that's okay. I can handle it. And what I wanted to say is, I can't stand to look at you another 5 minutes, sir. You're the only person that teaches this class. I don't like you. And that's what I think about Greg Popovich. You know, after and Pickles, I think I may have told you about that guy. I mean, the guy just had an awful, and you say, you don't know how he talks to his players behind closed door. I know what Steven Jackson said, that he's a father figure and all that. You don't know how Greg Popovich is. I know what Greg Popovich's body language is on the sideline, and I don't like that. You know, I believe in hard coaching. I think the coaching in the NBA is almost too soft because it's a player's league. But I think you can be coached hard and respected at the same time. You know, Bill Belichick is a very tough-minded guy. Even Pat Riley. But Pat Riley is the strictest coach in the league. Phil Jackson was too. Well, kind of. But Pat Riley is respectful about it. Even to this day, guys, Pat Riley has these strict curfews in Miami. That's why a lot of players don't want to do it. They want to party. And Pat Riley said no. Even Shaq said that, Pat was really tough, man, but I got in shape for Pat. And I didn't want to play for this other guy. Pat was going to be. So Pat fired the other guy. I think it was Stan Van Gundy. This was a recent story. And then Pat said, okay, big fella, I'm going to coach you. Because he was motivated. Shaq was motivated to beat Kobe. He was motivated to get that other ring. Remember, he lost all that weight when he went back to Miami? I know Phil Jackson to not be a nice guy. Trust me. Jerry West tells it in his book. He says, when I went to talk to the team and say hello to the team after a game, and Phil Jackson told me to get the F out of there. And I went up to Jerry Buss, the owner of the Lakers, and I said, hey, I don't appreciate that. And Jerry Buss said, well, Phil's our coach. And then that's when Jerry West, the logo, left. So, yeah, Jackson can be like that. But Jackson was never that kind of disrespectful coach that Greg Popovich has always been towards his players. You could see it in his body language. Every question's a bad question. Every question's a stupid question. You know what I want to tell, and this is in the press conference, I want to tell Greg Popovich, it may be a dumb question to you, Greg, but we have 7-year-olds that watch this who love the game of basketball. Greg, we have 8-year-olds. We have young girls and young boys who you need to keep it simple for. It's not for me. It's not for you, a coach. It's for the kids who don't understand some of the verbiage of the NBA. We don't all know your level of analytic talk, sir. So it might sound like a stupid question to you. But to a 7-year-old, it sounds like a good question. And the kid that's trying to learn the game of basketball would like to know why. What happened to the team in the third quarter? And, he never understood that. He wanted to lecture people on politics. I always thought that when he started doing that, him and Steve Kerr wanted to lecture the public on politics. I said, I don't know about Steve Kerr's deal, but I think Craig Popovich was trying to make up to the players because Tim Duncan had left, and he was trying to win back players because it got around the league. This guy will go a long way with his smart mouth, with his hollering, his constant condescension, his constant negative energy. It just wears on people. And Aldridge is like, I just don't want – he ain't said it, but he's saying it. I just don't want to be around this guy anymore. So if it was me, if I'm the brass at the Spurs, I say, listen, man, we appreciate everything you did. You've been here over 20 years. Remember we talked about this before, the 10-year rule, Bill Walsh of the 49ers. For the most part, that's good. Yeah, 10 years. Bill Walsh said when he left the 49ers in 79 to 89, he said, everybody tunes you out after 10 years. Everybody tunes you out. Even if you're executive, things fall on deaf ears. On an average of 10 years, things fall on deaf ears. Now, you got other coaches, you got outliers and all that. But, it's time for Greg to move on. They're fifth. I mean, they're still winning. But they're going to win this championship this year, And everything that's happened, I think it's only going to go downwards. He just simply needs to retire and let one of his assistants take over. Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K. Coach K, yeah, they got put out today or had the COVID thing or whatever. Coach K coaches hard, but he's never disrespectful. He runs a hard, tough ship. Guys sit a certain way. The coaches sit a certain way. You're dressed a certain way, the Duke way. The players play just like they do at the Spurs. Everybody is in their lane. People are boxing out. You are running pick and rolls. You're fundamentally, it doesn't look like you're winging it. And he's won, 7 national championships or some ridiculous 4 or 5. But he's won over 4. I know that. He's up there. John Wooden, he's up there. Like you said, Pat Riley, but Phil, of course, Phil Jackson. But either way, it's time for Craig to move on. And that is all I have for today, everybody. Check me out on Northeast Streaming Sports. If you want to help the show, couple ways. Go to contribute to the program. Go to the Zelle app, Zelle. A lot of people got it with your bank. Sports Scope, you can contribute. The word sports, the word SKOP at gmail.com. That's me, the Zelle app. I'm going to get other contributions. Now go to Alternate. Call Alternate 917-775-4005 and tell them Robert from SportsScope sent you. Make a contribution. I got to talk to these guys. We got to get them paying. I haven't got a chance to talk to Tollett yet, but I'm going to reach out to him later on. Free trial's just about ending, but he is doing a good thing up there in Brooklyn with helping the youth sports out. But anyways, everybody, you could check me out on the Mac and Jack Show YouTube channels. Are probably the best way to find me on Northeast Streaming Sports Show. I'll be on there around 8 a.m. Central Time, but don't come there just for me there. Got a great show over there last week. Had a great show. Had all the a lot of people involved in the 50th anniversary of Ali Frazier 1 Pickles. If you guys get a chance, check out Mac and Jack's sports show from last Sunday morning. It's all dated. What was last Sunday? They did what did they do? They did a show on the 6th about the 7th of Sunday about the reunion of the 50th anniversary of Ali Frazier 1. And Jack, who is a Hall of Fame boxing writer, Pickles, it was in Madison Square Garden in March of 71, and he got a ticket. He was at the fight. They had one of the fighters that was in one of the pre-fight, the fights leading up, the card. They had one of those guys on their podcast. Larry Merchant. Jack Hirsch knows him. Larry Merchant is 90 years old. He covered the fight for the New York Post. And Jack said he would have came on their show, but Merchant lives in L.A., and he did not want to get up that early. So it was a great podcast, Linda. You guys did a great job Sunday. I listened to it. The Mac and Jack Sports Show is 8 a.m. Eastern Time. They're a 3-hour show Wednesday through Sunday. These guys bring on the Giants off defensive line coach. They bring in real actual teams, people that work for the teams, the actual NFL teams. They got a lot of big names, including me, of course. I'm a star on the rise. But anyways, have a good night, everybody. I will see you Tuesday. Huge day. Sports Scope on Tuesday. We are going to be getting into a what do you call it? Free agency. We're getting into free agency. We will be legalized tampering. So we're going to know a lot about who's going where on Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday next week. Have a huge show, guys. We will get in those wild trades, wild signings coming up next week. The Dolphins, again, Chris Greer, Brian Flores. You want a contract extension? Go out there and get Deshaun Watson. Go out there and get Deshaun Watson. You will get that contract extension because you will be in the playoffs if you're relatively healthy next year. That's what I want to end the show on. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you next Tuesday here on Sports Scope.